the video here. And again, I'm sure Alex covered last week, the purpose of a teachable moment is not to be critical of the officiating. It's there because these things can happen in your game, and we want to discuss and have the best solutions moving forward and getting it, handling it correctly in our games. So we'll go from there. So Alex, we'll get our first play going here.
Absolutely. So we covered the first 7 last week, 7 more to go this week. So first one we'll discuss is with regards to intentional grounding mechanics.
You know, and intentional grounding is one of these things that it's a team effort on this. The referee is going to be responsible for knowing if the passer is in or outside the tackle box. The wing officials, deep wings, and that maybe even the umpire are the people that are going to help with, is there an eligible receiver in the area? And if you have an eligible receiver in the area, it doesn't matter where the passer was. But if you don't have an eligible receiver in the area, then the decision is, did the pass cross or would it have crossed the line of scrimmage? So it's a team effort. It's the referee's final decision in flag or no flag, but it's a team effort on this. And all the officials have to, are involved in the play, have to have an awareness that the play is suspect for a potential grounding.
Yep. So away we go. Obviously, our first requirement has been met, that the quarterback is under duress. That's our first requirement to even consider intentional grounding at this point. He heaves it and gets it out of bounds, and immediately our wing official is on his way to make communication with the referee. So that's good sign. That's a good mechanic from the start. And I'll turn it over to Bill as former referee as to his process there and what he wants. You know, that wing official came immediately to him, so that would at least lead me to believe that he has information that he wants to provide to the referee.
And there's various ways this can be communicated. Obviously, getting right to the referee, I like that as the mechanic. It's also possible if I'm the referee and I've had this suspect grounding situation, I don't know the status of receivers, I don't know if the pass crossed the line, I'm going to be turning to that side where the pass was thrown. And if you're not coming to me, and we don't have radios, if I'm staring at you in a suspect situation, I want to know one of two things. Either hit your chest showing me that there's an eligible receiver in the area and point to that receiver, or point that the ball is crossed or not crossed the line. But particularly if it hasn't crossed the line, come in and verbally communicate that to me so we don't have any confusion on that. But again, it'll be my final decision to whether we're going to go grounding or not.
All right, so here's the low end zone look, which would be similar to what the on-field officials would be looking at. So our quarterback is on the fringe, maybe the tackle box. I would think he would need to be a little bit further out than that. But the philosophy is, if he's on the fringe, he's out of it. And I don't know if you have anything to elaborate on that, Bill. But if you can put him out, they want you to put him out. But this guy is obviously under duress, and I think he needs to be a little bit further out than what he was.
Yeah, and the philosophy of this is established from the standpoint that they put this rule in to allow the passer to get rid of the ball and go to the next down. It's a player safety situation. They're trying to say, hey, he's in trouble, let him get rid of the ball, let him live to play another down. So we're trying to give him the benefit of the doubt on that he was out of the tackle box. The same thing is going to be true about a pass going to the sideline. Remember, it's nice when it's inbounds, it crosses the line, it makes it easy for everybody to see. But if that pass crosses the sideline behind the line of scrimmage, and in your judgment, it would have continued to cross the line of scrimmage, that line of scrimmage basically goes around the world. So he can throw that ball away, and it can be behind the line of bounds when it crosses the sideline, but it would have crossed, then it's a good throwaway. Okay. Now, the official is not on the line of scrimmage and has to make that judgment coming back. The only thing I'd say is I would have liked to seen that wing official hold the line of scrimmage.
Right. And to Bill's point, so he crossed the line. This line basically gets extended into infinity all the way out. If I could draw a straight line, that would help. All the way out into infinity as long as it clears the line. But the only way he gets that privilege is if he's out of the tackle box. If referee rules he's not left the tackle box, he has to get it to an eligible receiver. So getting it beyond the line only applies if he's met the criteria of getting out of the tackle box. So a lot of things to communicate on this play as a crew.
Yeah. There was an interesting play a couple of years in the Rose Bowl where the coach was standing about 2 yards short of the line of scrimmage at the back of the white, and the pass was thrown, and he actually caught the pass. And he was showing the wing official, hey, it never crossed the line. It never crossed the line. But in the judgment of that official, it would have crossed the line had not the coach put his hands up and caught the ball. So they went with no grounding on that situation. But if it would have crossed the line, he's off the hook. And again, your tackle box, and I believe that we've got the change with IFAF that says we're using the center. So basically, you're looking at the outside shoulder.
Using the snapper.
The snapper. I apologize, Mr. Briggs. That we're basically you're looking at that 5 yards is approximately the outside shoulder of those tackles on each side, or the second man from the snapper in case they're not the tackle, right, Jim?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
Moving on to number 9. So this is our under 1 minute timing rules. And when I was on a crew on the field, we always at the beginning of the season, the referee would always assign one official to be the 10-second runoff expert. Everybody on the crew should be aware of the 10-second runoff implications and the 10-second runoff situations, but there should be one guy on the crew that's in charge of being rock solid on knowing what all applies, and if we have the O2Os to communicate those situations when they're applicable, because at least I've seen this numerous occasions now that I'm upstairs, and I've seen it, felt it numerous occasions when I was on the field. This can turn into what seems like an eternity if we're not on top of getting decisions and understanding options in an efficient manner.
Yeah, and it's critical too that communication that the sideline officials will do with coaches in the event that you do have this runoff situation. I'll use the term potential runoff because depending on the strategy, time, score, location on the field, a coach from the non-fouling team, he's got a choice, and he might make that choice based on whether he wants to get the ball back or not. So it's critical that we all understand the 10-second runoff implications. We communicate it so that we have those options available for the referee so he can give the final ruling on the situation.
Yep. So setting up our scenario here, we have 50 seconds to go in the half. The clock is running, as you saw. Oklahoma has no timeouts remaining. Texas has 2 at their disposal. So clock is ticking. Oklahoma's on offense, so we immediately have to recognize that they have no timeouts remaining. So they are not in control of stopping the runoff. So that should make it an easier process. Get a flag down by our wing official. And this is where getting on that O2O quickly is important. So referee recognizes it. They're immediately looking over to the Texas sideline, and there's no need to communicate anything in this particular situation with the Oklahoma sideline because they can't do anything about the runoff. So all you need is a decision from the Texas sideline, and you can get this hopefully administered expeditiously. But yeah, clearly 60 false starts.
In this field position here, I don't believe if I were the coach from the defensive team, I'm not interested in giving them any more time than they have. So, I want to try and prevent them from scoring. Getting the ball back here is not that critical to me. Just stopping them is the critical thing. But that again, that's his decision. Texas says, "Hey, take the runoff." And when you do the runoff, you're also going to take and you're going to start the clock on the ready for play.
Yep. And good job here by our referee, assuming that he's advising the quarterback exactly that. Hey, when I put this in place, it's gonna start moving.
Yeah, and be deliberate at this point. As much as it's their fault, they false started. It's their runoff, but be deliberate here. Don't start that clock until we're set and ready. Let the players decide the game, not us.
All right, play number 10. So this is regarding inbounds versus out of bounds status of a player. Interesting.
Yeah, it is an interesting play. It's the first play from
Of the
scrimmage
game.
Yeah, I mean, you can see 15 minutes first quarter. So, we had a kickoff for a touchback. We're at the 25-yard line. So, hey, we can kind of be in a complacent stage right now in terms of, hey, game just started, nothing big's happening. We got a touchback. Here we go. But be ready for anything.
Got through the coin toss, so we must be all right, right?
Yeah.
Formation is heavy to the bottom of the screen. Quarterback rolls out. And appears we may have an interception.
Yeah, we have a hat off by the short wing because he's seen the offensive receiver go out of bounds. Now it'll be his decision whether the player went out of bounds on his own, which he did. But the hat is off, not because of anything except that offensive receiver there went out in that. So number 2 goes up in the air, comes down, looks like he maintains firm control of the ball all the way to the ground. First play of the game. Hey, we got an interception. Hold on. We need to remember that if a player is out of bounds, what's that left foot doing? That left heel is out of bounds. So the number 2 right now is out of bounds status. Okay. So for him, and he has no restrictions like the offense. He can go out, he can come back in. There's no problems to him first to touch the ball. It only applies to the offense. So right now he needs to reestablish inbounds with his body here. That left foot's a problem. So, but he jumps from here. And now he is still out of bounds status. So the second he touches the ball, we have an incomplete pass by rule because he did not reestablish. He's an out of bounds player. And so and people say, well, how come the official didn't see it? Well, he was in the middle of that situation because we tend to keep a closer eye on the offensive players. He's seen that number 1 go out of bounds, come back in, but he hasn't picked up number 2. The only person that probably could have a chance at that is the deep wing, if he could see that, but he's about 30 yards away. So that's going to be a tough one for him to see a heel that was just a couple inches out of bounds. And we've had a lot of discussion on this one. I happen to be at this game, and I've also had a chance to talk with our CFO coordinator, Steve Shaw, about it. And that just because he raised his heel up and the toe is now inbounds, that does not establish him being back in bounds because this is a one motion jump. And just like a receiver coming down with a pass, whether it's the offense or defense, who's airborne and comes down, if your foot comes down in one motion, I don't care that your toes touched first. If your foot comes down in one motion and hits that sideline, it's an incomplete pass. You have to really establish a toe tap to get that inbound status. So this is a one motion jump, out of bounds status. And again, you can see the deep official, you better be 200, 300% sure that you saw a receiver stepping out of bounds if you're going to call this incomplete. So play made for replay, but the possibilities there that the deep wing could have seen that step out.
An interesting one to deal with, obviously, from the first play from scrimmage. It's going to be one of those days.
Yeah. So, and this is a play made, I'll say that, a play made for replay. At the same time, the call, you make the call. If you saw that left foot and you saw that jump, then I want you to take the responsibility to make that call. You may not have replay. Interesting way to start a ball game, though.
That it is. Same thing for the guys upstairs. We had a kickoff, we cleared it. If you're a replay official, hey, first play from scrimmage, we're all right. But this can wind up falling on your lap. And as Bill discussed, the foot coming up does not constitute reestablishment. All right. Play 11. We'll talk fourth down fumble rule and if it muff versus a fumble. What constitutes the fourth down fumble exception?
Well, we could start for a second by saying, hey, if we've got a fourth down fumble, only the player that fumbled the football from team A we're talking about, doesn't apply to team B. The person who fumbled the football is the only person who can recover and advance. But if we have a muff on fourth down, my question to you will be, is everybody eligible to recover and advance, or does it still apply only to the person who muffed the ball? And the answer is, on a muff, the fourth down fumble rule does not apply. And to have a fumble, you had to have somebody in possession of the football.
Yep. And the snap, as it deals with here, the snap is defined as a backwards pass or a muff. So to snap it is not a fumble. Somebody would have to possess this ball to be clearly in possession of it and then fumble it. So that's in the scenario we have here. It's a fourth and short situation.
And of course, we know
the old
prior to the play, we were all giving that signal to each other that we've got the fourth down fumble situation. And it's a critical call because this is going to depend here of whether team A keeps the football or whether team B gets the ball.
Interestingly enough, we have beanbags on the ground, so our short wings have either put a beanbag on the ground because they see the ball on the ground, or they've in their opinion have ruled this to be a fumble. So proper use of the beanbag is also something we should probably discuss.
And what is this official by how he's officiated the play? He hasn't shut it down for it being a fourth down fumble back at the spot it was recovered. He went with the ball and the runner, and he's marked it at a spot that will be a new first down. So it appears, if you've ruled this a muff, that's how you'd handle it. Okay. But we're going to see here. We've killed the
Clearly
clock.
got something he wants to talk about.
Let's talk. So somebody has to know, was this a fumble or was this a backward pass muff situation? The wing official might not be in a good position to see through that. Referee, center judge, you're going to have to be on the situation with this one to make that decision. Just in the time sequence there, it would be hard for me to convince anybody that the quarterback had firm control of the ball and possession. This went right through his hands. If that were a pass, you'd say it's incomplete, a forward pass. So possession is possession, and there was no possession there. But when
Unfortunately, however, they
yeah,
get together and rule the opposite. They rule fourth down fumble rule on this on the field.
After their conference, they negated their first down for Team A, and they said we have a fourth down fumble rule, so we're going to give the ball to Team B. Now I know things could be different with IFAF with the video judge situations. Are you going to get an opportunity to really look at this? But the question really is, if your final decision is that it was a fourth down fumble rule, can replay get involved?
This is the one where they kind of, to use a phrase that Bill taught me a long time ago, they took the rule book and threw it out the window of the press box where the replay room was. They ultimately they ruled that this was not a fumble. They ultimately ruled that this was a muff, and they allowed the first down to stand on the recovery, because that's pretty much how it played out on the field. Technically not right by rule. Ultimately was supported by Dean Blandino, the supervisor of replay, but with the caveat that this is something that we only want to pull this rabbit out of our hat in extreme circumstances. They did something here that was right for the game, and that ultimately that's what they should have done, but not something they technically should have done by rule.
Yeah, but under IFAF rules, this is 100% reviewable.
Well, that's good.
Makes it easy.
Yeah, we try and make it easy. Whether anyone would have a camera pointing in a useful direction or not.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this, Jim. On this play, the official actually officiated it correct. Okay.
Yeah, I was going to.
Then they changed their mind and went back to the fumble. What if the official blew his whistle when 28 or whatever his number was picked up the ball in the backfield? What if he would have blown his whistle and marked the ball at that spot and not allowed the continuation? What would we be in trouble then?
Replay might determine that was then an inadvertent whistle.
That'd be true. You could say inadvertent whistle then. Oh.
And because they made a loss on the play, you'd repeat the down
from the previous spot.
Yeah.
Well, you might not have to, because Team B might be so upset about that, there might be a 15-yard penalty. That gives them a new first down. No, and here's the key thing on it. Patience is number one. Don't take for granted just because we wound our arms saying it's fourth down fumble situation. We need to know if it's a fumble or not. Officiate the play, because you can always come back and correct it. But if you shut it down too soon, you've created a problem.
That's right. Yeah. officiate to play safe. You know, as long as somebody's got knows where the ball was recovered, you can always come back to that.
Right.
All right, so substitution mechanics, play 12. What constitutes substitution? So we'll set up our scenario here. We've got 4th down and 2. So the offense has been held short of the first down. So our mindset would be, all right, they're gonna send out the punt team to punt. So let's throw out the old substitution mechanics here.
Well,
we
Go
didn't
ahead.
get a punt team, yeah.
Yeah, the issue is that team, everybody assumed, the defense assumed it. They sent out their punt return team. The offense wanted to go for it. And the offense was in a position. I mean, they're taking a gamble here. They're back at their own 45-yard line. But the problem is that they wanted to go for it. So, and they're catching the defense in substitution. So not only do they have a good chance at picking up the first down via running and yardage, they also have the possibility they could get an illegal substitution call. If that ball snapped and Team B now is realizing, hey, it's a snap, they got people running on, they got people running off. There's a real good chance they've got more than 11 players out on that football field. And none of them are in a position to stop the run to begin with. So Team A is going for this for 2 reasons. One, they want the first down possibly by run, or we can catch you and we'll get illegal substitution and get our first down. So the officials' mistake here was the assumption that we have a punt coming. Don't go into this mechanic unless Team A actually substitutes.
They saved Team B here, or they saved Florida State because they get the timeout they want on the confusion. So officials here saved the defense and hindered the offense.
Yeah, he's not a happy camper. Tight competitive game.
There was no sub, is what he's telling them. Yeah.
Is coach correct? Yes, he is. Once in a while, they are correct. So this one's on us. Something we have to take and be aware of. Don't take things for granted. That's complacency, and when we can do this on 4th down, and 99 times out of 100 they're going to punt, but that one time we end up fumbling the ball, not the offense or defense. It's our fault.
You got the 11 guys on offense here, and there really isn't. There's maybe one guy on defense here, so they're technically ready to go. The offense.
Game's tough enough. Don't make it harder for ourselves.
All right. Play 13. Let's discuss 2 forward passes and what constitutes a forward pass. So scenario, ball gets deflected back into the air and quarterback propels, for lack of a better term at the moment, the ball forward again and into the ground.
Well, and again, we have to understand rules, definitions, etc. I'll go back to my thing about possession. Right now, we have possession. The quarterback does have possession. Now, my question would be, he's jumped up in the air. He might have control of the football, okay? But he does not have possession. He has not caught the ball. He has not possessed the ball. Possession is going to require him to have that firm control, to come down to the ground inbounds, and if he's being immediately hit, survive that hit. And we need, as we tick it forward a little bit, we're going to see he kind of flips the ball forward while he's still in the air. So technically, by rule, by definitions, we've only had one forward pass, the original one. And now when this ball off of two's hands hits the ground, the original forward pass, the only one forward pass there was, is now incomplete.
Question, Bill.
Yes.
Would that second act be technically batting?
Are you allowed to bat a pass?
Yes.
Yes. So, yes, you could say it's batting and it's still legal. There's no foul committed here by the team in white and red. So on the field, this play was officiated correctly. It's just an incomplete forward pass. Confusing to some people, I'm sure, but it's just an incomplete pass. Number 2 did not possess the football off of that block. So he's just basically batted it forward. He's batted a forward pass forward, and it's now incomplete. Now, problem exists here. Replay gets involved. And replay says, hey, you had 2 forward passes here. And they complicate things more by saying, and the second pass was from the end zone. So by rule, if you have an illegal forward pass from the end zone, you have a safety. Now, I would debate that even if you ruled this a pass, that it happened in the end zone. I think it's more in the field of play. But replay says it's a second forward pass. It's from the end zone. So replay is creating an illegal forward pass. If you were the referee, would you debate this with replay? Should have been debated, I think. But replay changed this to a safety, which was totally incorrect. So, I'll go back to the thing that says we have to really, everybody, whether you're the officials on the field, whether you're a replay official, everybody really needs to get solid about what possession of a football is. In order to throw a pass, I have to have possession. If I don't have possession of it, it's not a pass. Okay. Could be a bat, could be a muff, but to pass the ball, I have to have possession. And it applies to receiving a punt, receiving a pass, receiving a snap, receiving a blocked pass. Possession is possession. Firm control, inbounds, survive a hit, survive the ground.
That's correct. And from the replay standpoint, we're there to correct obvious errors, but they have to be errors that impact the game. So if we looked at this, we've taken this stop, we've reviewed this, we've incorrectly created this to be a second forward pass, added a safety, and was it really necessary for us to get involved to take it from 37-0 to 39-0?
No,
So replay,
Alex.
Replay needs to know when competitive effect is involved and when their input is needed.
You probably
our
would
last
have
one in this
your
this
replay
series-
official had been an official instead of a non-official.
Our last one we'll talk about in this segment is the quarterback pass fumble and whether or not this is a reviewable play. All right, so we're starting the right hash here, and it's 2nd and 8 in a tie game. That will come in handy later. What Bill put on the screen. Here's our snap. Our quarterback is flushed out of the tackle box clearly now.
All right, freeze it there. All right, we got a wing official top of the screen. He's giving a nice incomplete pass signal. Hey, is there anybody watching this that didn't think it was a forward pass? I mean, it hit, the way that ball came out and the way it hit the ground, everybody in that stadium, the wing official, the players on the field, everybody's just walking away from it. It's an incomplete forward pass, right? Well, let's take another look at it. Oh, and who went over and picked up the ball? Oh, the officials did. Okay.
Oops.
Ooh, off his helmet, hits his shoulder. Now his hand just pushes it forward about 5 yards beyond the line of scrimmage. Interesting. So we have a fumble now instead of a pass. So my question basically to you is, can replay get involved in this at this point? There's no clear immediate recovery. So technically by replay rule, it is not reviewable. Okay. Technically we have an inadvertent whistle. Okay. So, and here's the key thing on this one. And I go back to when we talked about intentional grounding, about the wing officials, the umpire, other people having an awareness out there. The way this ball came out, I'm sure everybody just took it for granted it had to be a pass. But the bottom line to it is there's only one, maybe two with a center judge, people that have the authority to say whether this is a fumble or a pass. I want the wing official, I want the umpire, anybody else that thinks there's any question on this whatsoever. You better, before you blow a whistle and say incomplete pass, you'd better. And the way that ball's turning upside down and back, you need to take and look back at your referee or center judge and see what they're ruling. Because if they've got a beanbag out or they're not blowing a whistle or giving you an indication that an arm was moving forward with firm control of the ball, you need to leave this alone. You blow a whistle, and it's awful tough, especially with no recovery. It's awful tough to correct this. Okay. And the only thing you can do is with this, if you say it's an inadvertent whistle, is you can give team A the play over. And again, like I said on the other one, you can also probably add 15 yards because team B is going to go nuts when you say you're going to. In this case, the replay official said, well, the ball became dead beyond the line there, 5 yards beyond the line. We'll give the ball to team A up there because that's where it became dead. That was totally wrong. The ball didn't become dead up there. The ball became dead the instant the officials blew it as an incomplete pass. So again, replay got involved and replay was wrong. So we need to take and remember something as officials on the field. It's our responsibility to get it right. Don't put it in replay's hands. If you can get them all right, give replay the day off.
True. All right, so that wraps up our first segment. So, Davey, I don't know if there's any questions, but that wraps up the teachable moment place.
No, there was no questions, so I'll just stop the recording, and we're going to, if you can stop sharing, and we're going to have a 5-minute break at the moment before we come back. So just give everyone an opportunity to have a 5-minute break, okay? See you all in 5 minutes.
All right. There was a good question that came up about that one with substitution and the defense wasn't ready. And I remember somebody asking me this question, was that if nobody was out there for the defense because they thought you were going to punt and team A was about to snap the ball, would you allow them to snap? And my answer to them on that, and I think it'd be worth me bringing up, would be no. I wouldn't let them snap. That'd make a travesty of the game to have a snap without any defense out there. I would hit a flag for delay a game on the defense then, you know. So, which would accomplish the same thing for team A, but with the first down. But I would not run a play without a defense out on the field.